Africans in the central part of Africa was dealing with the concept of a deity, God and a goddess, no one in the world, any place in the world, even knew or had any idea of a God by the name of Jehovah, Jesus, and or Allah. It was thousands of years later that what the Africans had brought forth to mankind as a whole, those that were living, and I need to make this very clear, not a single Hebrew or Jew existed. Christian, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, or anything existed when the Africans on the line, along the Nile were already dealing with the concept of a deity. The most common at the earliest time was the deity symbolized by the sun, not the sun. Never once did the Africans preach that any material things or any other animal was the deity, but use these as symbols of the deity. Many of you would be going to Egypt quite soon and other places in the continent, and you would go and come back with the same mythology that missionaries has placed in your mind. You would talk of the sun god, and that the ancient Egyptians and others of Africa worship animals, birds, etc. And that isn't true. It is of saying that Christians worship the cross. And you know that is not true. It's a symbol. When you see, and that the media present to us, I've just been reading some articles dealing with a conference in Canada, in which many of the scholars, biblical scholars, particularly biblical archaeology, especially at this time when Passover is here, stated that there is no evidence, no physical evidence of a Passover ever happening. That mess you up. But I'll make it better for you. There is no evidence at all in Egypt of a Hebrew people living at the time when they were supposed to, worst of all, being slaves in Egypt. There is no record whatsoever in Egypt of a Hebrew people, one of them by the name of Joseph. There is no record of a prime minister in Egypt by the name of Potiphar. And there is no record of a man living in any of the Pharaoh's home by the name of Moses. No record whatsoever. Make it a little better for you. The first Hebrew or Jew, whatever name you want to call him, and that I guess would make me anti-Semitic, until the Africans along the Nile were about in the 13th dynastic period, that the first Hebrew or Jew, Avram, was born, and that would put us around 1675. Let's be generous. Let's 1700 before the Common Era, which you would prefer to say before the Christian era. Yet you have facts, and facts upon which you work daily, none of which coincide with the information I'm bringing to you. But the reason is that you have no reference, for the most part you had, I should say, prior to the revolution that started in the 1960s, died down, started again in the 1970s, highlighted by the expose of Dr. Jeffries, which many people are sorry now that they even touched, because what they have done, instead of damaging Dr. Jeffries, they have brought to the forefront information which other people would not have known. And now many people are going to, who had no intent of